All right, back of another edition of the A Better NFL Top 100. We're in the top 20 now, 20 through 11, second to last video here, really getting down to it. Again, if you haven't seen any of these, I'm not taking positional value into account. Really, it kind of comes into play a little bit, but I'm trying my best not to have it come into account here. So it's been a fun list. Let's just get into it, starting off with number 20. Number 20, I'm going Jaylen Johnson, the corner for the Chicago Bears, who, really good player. I accidentally, Kyle and I left him off the top 25 players, 25 and under podcast. That was just a mistake. We forgot to include him. Not forgetting to include him here. One of the best corners in football, and still at such a young age, and signed to a pretty reasonable deal, too. I feel like he could have gotten more out of that, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I have him as a top 20 player. I think what he's able to do for the Chicago Bears, and just how consistently he's winning for them. Maybe doesn't get the credit he deserves just yet, because people aren't exactly grinding Chicago Bears defensive tape. So I get it. But I think that if the Bears do play better this year, which I could see happening, I think Johnson could become more of a household name. Number 19 is Micah Parsons, who a lot of people have higher on their own list, and I get it. I mean, again, there's a lot of really good players, so it's hard to choose exactly, where to put everyone. But for Parsons, I do think that, he has had his issues in run defense, although not as bad as maybe people believe it to be. Definitely we have seen teams make an effort to run the ball towards him, in part because you're tiring him out, because in the pass rush game, he is at times unguardable. He is incredible and debatably the best just pure pass rusher in the NFL. If it's a 3rd down and 7 and you need one guy, he might be the guy you choose. So because of that, got to put him in the top 20. Number 18 is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow makes the list, who, again, if I'm taking positional value into account, he's probably a lot higher on the list, but I'm not. So because of that, still gets here at 18. I feel people have kind of forgotten about Burrow, Like, the injuries are a fair knock on him at this point. He has gotten injured enough. But, okay, he gets injured sometimes. You look at the positives he brings to the table, though. Like, yes, he does need to protect himself better. He does need to get rid of the ball quicker on certain plays. But, the consistency of which he plays with, how well he runs the offense, but also how much he gives you when a play breaks down. I think that part is underrated. He's not just a game manager. He is elite even when stuff isn't getting open. So, because of that, he's at number 18. Number 17, I am going Nick Bosa, the edge rusher for the San Francisco 49ers, a guy who, again, obviously there's one play in the Super Bowl that's going to be talked about a bit with the not tackling Mahomes on the 4th down and 1, which I'm sure has kept him up at night. But let's be honest, he was unbelievable in that Super Bowl. I mean, he was a force throughout that game and really did a lot of nice stuff to, nearly have them win it. And he's just been a force his whole career. He has been, as good of a pass rusher as just about anybody, and also an incredible run defender as well. So because of that, I got to put him here high up on the list. He's at 17. At 16 is Antoine Winfield Jr., a guy who got Defensive Player of the Year votes last year. There's just so much this guy does well, right? I mean, the run defense, blitzing, he makes big plays. He's a monster in coverage. There's so much he does well, and maybe the main thing he does well is his knack for big plays. I mean, how many goal line fumbles did he have? How many interceptions and fumble recoveries and all that stuff? He's always around the ball, and because of that, you got to give him some extra value there. So, yeah, unbelievable player. He is number 16. At number 15, I went MAXX Crosby, which some people might feel like is a bit high for Crosby, but if you watch his film, I would disagree. I mean, for one thing, definitely, really not the best situation that he is in with the Raiders. Their secondary ended up being better than we thought it would be entering the year, but still, a lot of times that defensive line is MAXX Crosby having to do it all himself. That they did add Christian Wilkins, who honestly could have made this top 100 list, certainly an honorable mention there, but that should help out Crosby a lot, as Crosby, not just a great pass rusher, but also an elite run defender. And to me, that's kind of what separates him from someone like Bosa and Parsons, both of which I think definitely have their moments in run defense. I think Bosa is better than Parsons, but Crosby is significantly better than both of those two. So putting up similar pass rush numbers plus his run defense, yeah, I'm going to value that a little higher, and that's why I put him at 15. Number 14 is Jessie Bates III, the guy who I said last year I thought deserved Defensive Player of the Year. I thought he was unreal last year. Certainly a career year for him in Atlanta. With his coverage, it's just fantastic. And that's kind of why I have him as my number one safety is, well, I like how Antoine Winfield can do so many different things. Jessie Bates, for me, does the most important part of being a safety at a high level, which is he covers so much ground. And there's no safety in the league that you want to throw to less than Jessie Bates. And considering the fact that, he covers so much ground, there's a large area of the field to not throw to. You kind of have to try him, but when you do, it typically doesn't go too well. So that's why he's 14. Number 13 is Penei Sewell, the Detroit Lions right tackle, who, it's interesting because there was that whole Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell debate for certainly year one. If Bengals fans were saying, I'm pretty glad we have Jamar Chase. And listen, I think both teams are very happy with the guy they ended up with. But I do think Sewell has ended up being the better player between the two, although both are very good. Sewell, had a bit of growing pains in the preseason when he first entered, just trying to play right tackle, but hasn't been an issue since really getting into the NFL and has really emerged as one of the best tackles in the league. So he is someone that I have in the, not quite in the top 10, but in the top 15. Number 12 is another guy who was drafted very high. Sauce Gardner, drafted 4th overall. Another guy where there was some debate as to, Derek Stingley Jr., who another player that could have maybe made the list. Certainly a really good player for the Texans, but has not been Sauce Gardner, who has been debatably the best corner in football both years he's been in the league. You do that, you're going to get pretty high on the list. So he's number 12. And number 11, I am sticking in New Jersey, and I'm going Dexter Lawrence, a interior defensive lineman for the Giants who really has just done some unbelievable stuff. And I do think that with, Aaron Donald retiring, Chris Jones kind of getting up there in age, Dexter Lawrence could be starting to rack up some All-Pros. I think it's fair to say Dexter Lawrence is on track to be a Hall of Famer. He really is, and it's probably become very underrated. So, yeah, kind of everyone on this, the 11 through 20 are guys, I don't know, I could easily see you being a Hall of Famer type guys. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this section of the list, 11 through 20? Next time you see me, we'll be discussing the top 10. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, those are my thoughts. So what are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.